One thing that bothered me was how students inconsistently use the discussion board. When I look back at the courses that I've coordinated, I could see that there were just a few students who were answering questions and not everybody was participating. So I was wanting to find a way where I could connect with students outside of the class, and the conference call function gives me that option. There are two ways that I use the conference call function in Canvas. The first one is the online tutorial. So this is when I'll facilitate learning content at a time and a day that's convenient for the class. Students can access the recorded conference call at a later date. So that's a really good way of connecting with students. What I noticed in that sort of method, I tended to have more diverse students participating, and they were able to choose where they participated from. So they were able to join online from home, whether home was in Northland, Dunedin or Sydney. So it built up a really good sense of community amongst the class. I noticed it was a more informal way of learning and something that they seemed to enjoy. The other example that I can use the conference call is for when students may have a verbal presentation as an assessment and they can't, for one reason or another, come into the campus. So how I've managed this is by ensuring that a clinical marker or another marker on site with the student is there when they complete their verbal presentation. I only invite the student to that conference call because that's an exam situation. The student submits their presentation to me and it's also seen throughout the conference call. So I'm really clear that I've maintained examination conditions for that assessment, but also been more flexible in how I can support students whose transport to a central campus may pose to be a barrier for postgrad education. The thing about the conference call is that students can enter online. So they can enter online if they have a camera or if they don't have a camera in their computer. So they can enter online via keyboard. What's fantastic is that I can have a conference call with up to 50 students at one time. Setting up a conference call in Canvas is relatively easy. The user guides are really helpful. One thing that I always do is I look at my diary and I set up a non-graded quiz with my class with options for them to select the topic, the time and the best day that suits them to attend the conference call. From then I can then respond to what they think is important for their learning. What's really good too is that before I started to use conference call, I actually did a trial run where I invited some colleagues to join me on a conference. So you can have a conference call with all the class or you can just select subgroups of the class. So that gives you an indication of how responsive it is and how we can use it to engage with students who perhaps we think aren't engaging in the course. When I think about the benefits for a conference call, I think about what the students shared. They saw it as being a convenient and fun way to carry on learning. What I noticed was the questions that they asked of me in the conference call were more comprehensive. So it allowed them to continue learning after the class, face-to-face learning, go on and read, or come to the conference call with a specific question. The student who asked that question often linked with others, so the questions prompted further discussion. When I think back to how the discussion board is used, I found this to be a way more beneficial way of engaging with students and supporting their learning.